Hello, friends. So, we accidentally sent out an email saying that we were going to be live on Facebook today with our awesome guest, Julia. And that's actually tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to talk about Instagram. But today I needed to record a video for a podcast that's going to release and blog posts that will be published in the next few months. And so I figured that I would come out and I would do that today live just on the off chance that anyone showed up and you did feel like learning some marketing knowledge because you had, carved it out of your schedule for today. So I promise we're not going to mess up on our emails forever. We're getting into the swing of really doing it right. So there you go. All right. So today I thought I would talk about how to tell what people are doing on your website, because I spend a lot of time talking to people about what people are doing on their website. And I find that there's actually a lot of people that just don't know how to find that information. So the tool that I use to find that information is Google Analytics. And before I'm done today, I will explain to you how you can tell if Google Analytics is installed on your site. I will explain to you, if you don't have Google Analytics, what you can do to see a little bit about what's going on out there. And then I'm also going to walk you through some different tricks that I use whenever I go through Google Analytics to see what's going on in a website. Okay. So once again, for everybody who just joined me, I'm so excited to see you today. And we messed up when we sent out the email this morning. If that's why you're here, tomorrow we're going to talk about Instagram. I'm totally pumped. And today I'm going to tell you how to figure out what people are doing on your website. Okay, so let's do this. Most of the time when I start talking with people about Google Analytics, they say, I have no clue what any of this data means. So I'm going to clear that up for you. That is what we are unearthing today. So first off, what is Google Analytics? It's a free program that's offered by Google that tracks visitor behavior on your site. You use a cookie to track the behavior, and that's why you're seeing all these pop-ups at the bottom of websites where you have to opt in so they can track your behavior. They're just using Google Analytics or another program like it to track visitor behavior. So you just place a line of code into your website on every page of the site, and then Google Analytics uses it to report fancy things like what pages people go to, how long they stay, how they got to your site, like was it via social media, email, or search. Also, where your visitors are physically located, if they're using a desktop or mobile device to view the site, and way, way more. And I will go through how you're going to find each one of those pieces of information in Google Analytics with you today. Now, I know that at first it can be overwhelming. It really can be. And so I really just want to encourage you, though, that getting used to the data and seeing it month over month, because most of you guys will be reviewing it month over month, is awesome. It's it's not just awesome because I say it's awesome. It also helps you make marketing decisions in a way that you're not doing it blind, because your gut is great, but actually having data to make a decision with is amazing. So you'll be able to know if your marketing emails or your blog or your social media are working inside of Google Analytics, and if your pages have the right names, or if your site stinks on mobile, or what to get rid of or what to keep when you build a new site. Those are all things that you will learn. Okay, so first off, if you're not sure if you have Google Analytics installed, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. Share screen, share screen, share. Boom. Okay, so to tell if you have Google Analytics installed, my favorite trick is this little guy right here. He's called the Wappalizer. That is Wappalyzer. Wappalizer. Okay, so this is a Chrome extension, and you can see what's installed on any website, right? So if you love a website and you love what they're doing, you can learn all about it. So once it's installed, then you'll have this little purple box up in the corner of your screen. And so you can go to any website you want to, and then you can click the Wappalizer and it will tell you what is going on inside the site. So here I know that I have Google Analytics installed on my site, and you can do the exact same thing on your site. Isn't that fancy? Oh man. So, hey, you're already learning something today, right? All right. So now, if what you just did not show you that you don't have Google Analytics, that showed you that you do not have Google Analytics, do not freak out. There is one little trick that I want to show you, which I think is also valuable for the rest of the information that we're going to talk about. So if you go out to just go out to Google and you're going to Google search the proper name of your organization. So we're going to do Boone History. It wants to call it Boone History Center. Okay, so sometimes information is delivered the way that you see it here. See how there's little links underneath this? Other times it looks a little different. So go to Christensen Construction. Oh man, I just Googled these friends yesterday and it showed up in a block underneath it. I don't know. Why does it change from like monitor to monitor? Oh, yeah, there we go. All right. So we saw it with the little links underneath it, and now we see it with the grid of links. All right. So the little links underneath your listing and also these pages, these 4 pages like we see here with Christensen Construction. So these are usually the most visited pages on your site. What happens with these little links underneath your listing in Google and the links underneath your listing that are in the grid is that Google is pulling out the pages that it feels like people are most interested in. And usually it's going to pull out the pages that are most visited in your website. So if you do this for your website, you're going to see some consistencies between this search listing and your Google Analytics report, back and forth, right? But if you don't have Google Analytics, you can do this as well. All right. Now you know a trick. Okay. So now that you've verified that you have Google Analytics, let's get to business and look. So you're going to have to know how to log in. And friends, I wish I could tell you how to log in, but that's going to be an adventure that you're going to traverse on your own. Hopefully you know how. So if you want to log in, you can just search for Google Analytics. I'll show you. GoogleAnalytics.com. And you'll just click sign in to analytics. So that's where you're going to start signing in. All right. And if you're not sure how to sign in, then just contact your webmaster. They'll be able to tell you what your username and password is. All right. So it plops you into this big overview screen. This is the home screen, right? So you're going to see the word sessions all over the place in Google Analytics. So the first thing I want to do for you is just give you the short vocab lesson of what is sessions. So Google Analytics calls the people or the devices, because it really doesn't count people. It counts the number of times a site was accessed by a specific device. It calls them sessions. And I call the people who visit your website visitors, but it's all sessions, right? It's all the same thing. I mean, you can call them people too, but you get my drift, right? So site visits are another word for session. Visitors are sessions, right? That's how Google's going to tell you this. Now, there's a few things that I do right away before I look at the data. First of all, I'm not going to look at it here because this doesn't really tell me a whole lot about what I want to see. So I almost always look at the audience overview report first. This gives me a really good overview of what's going on the website. But the first thing I look at is my date, the time frame for which I'm looking at the data. So you can see that I don't have a lot of users to look at behavior for, right? It's pretty small. So the first thing I would do is I would adjust the date frame. And depending upon what you're trying to figure out on the website, your date frame might be longer or shorter, right? So if you're trying to judge the effectiveness of a very specific campaign, you would just look at the window that the campaign ran. If it was just overall, how are people using the main pages of your site, then I would look at it and, for 6 months or for a year or for a quarter. So I click apply. And then I'm going to get way more visitors, right? This gives me a way more normal view. And honestly, I'd kind of like to look at it for a full year. So let's do it. So May 3rd, and we're going to go back to May 3rd, 2020. Boom. Apply. So the date range is the first thing that you're going to adjust on the report when you view it. While this is loading, the second thing that you're going to look at is the location, because most of us serve a very specific area and we don't need to see data from people all over the place, because not all people behave the same way on your site. The people that you are most likely to be able to serve will behave better on your site than people who you can't serve. Because if you only serve people in Boone County in Missouri, but there's folks from India accessing your site, they might find some cool information, but then they're going to realize that you can't help them and they're going to leave. But we want to look at people who are actually like valuable and good visitors. Qualified visitors is probably the best way I could put it. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to go down and note that this variable that I just set here, it's going to stay put until I change it, no matter what report I look at. So we're going to, underneath audience, go down to geo and then click on location. Now, see, it gives me this nice world map and it shows me where people are. Now, most of their visitors are in the United States, and so I'm going to click on the United States here. Most of their visitors are in Missouri. Well, that's good, because this organization is located in Missouri, and you can even see it up here on this map, right? Now, since I only want to see Missouri visitors and their behavior, I'm going to teach you an advanced trick to figure that out. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? It took me a while to learn this. I literally had to go to training to do this. Okay, it's called segments. So you can add a segment. You know these blocks up here? Like, have you ever played with them? I don't know. I didn't ever play with them. All right, so you can add a segment. So you would click New Segment. And then this very first screen down at the bottom where it says Location, you can choose how you want to segment your visitors. So I want to look at them for region. Region equals state, by the way, and my state contains Missouri, right? And then it's going to update my information over here. And I always kind of like to watch and see what it does to make sure that I haven't like blown stuff up. Okay, while it's doing that, I'm going to type in my segment name. So it would make a lot of sense for me to name this segment like Missouri, MISSOURI, website visitors, right? That's it. And then I can click save, because clearly this thing is going to take forever to update. Boom, save. All right. So now notice that only Missouri website visitors are being shown in my report. I can take it off. I can be like, you know what, I don't want to look at this anymore. And I just click remove and it'll go away. But if I'm trying to learn how the people I can actually serve behave on my website and what I should be doing for them, it's best to look at it in a very specific location, or else you're just getting, crappy information. Okay, so just like side note, PS right now, if your website was built before this year, then you are using this version of analytics most likely, because this is called Universal Analytics. Google Analytics is getting ready to turn over in a while. We don't know when that is, but they did announce back in October that they're moving to a different platform to track web visitor behavior, and it'll be like one spot for both for app behavior and websites, and it's called Google Analytics 4. Now, the terms that I'm going to explain to you are the same. They're going to be the same in Google Analytics 4 and Google Analytics, because I was looking at a preview of it today, but where you go to find that information is going to be a little different, and it might actually be more logical. I got to tell you, because some of the stuff in here is not very logical, and that's why I'm showing you where to find it. Okay. So next up, since we added our segment and now we're looking at the right stuff, let's dig into data. Woof. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back up to my overview, and I want to look at users and new users. So sessions also, right? So users are unique visitors. They're one person who looked at your website. New users are the people who've not been to your website before. Sessions are the number of times that your website was shown. Yeah? Okay. I like to look at this information because it tells me how often people see your website. And I like to see a fairly consistent trend month over month. So this is good. Things are going up and down, but I don't have a huge area of just nothingness. And also, depending upon what your organization does, you might have very seasonal trends, and that's okay too. That's why I sometimes like to do a quarterly or 6-month comparison to just see what's going on. Just play with the numbers, right? Okay. So your traffic can fluctuate for a number of reasons, like if you're spending money on ads, or if you're promoting an event, or you're sending lots of emails or running radio ads. Like all of the marketing activities that you do, they actually cause a fluctuation. So takeaways from things like users and sessions is that if you're doing lots of marketing, you should have regular web traffic. And if you don't, then your marketing is not working. And if you just started a new type of marketing, then you should see a jump in web traffic, or that's an indicator that your marketing isn't working. And like I said before, traffic could be seasonal, and that's okay. You don't need to freak out. It's just really good to know. All right, so then I like to look at returning visitors. Notice that they have 23.1% returning visitors. If I look at my own website, I don't have nearly the amount of returning visitors that this organization has. And that's because they have a membership and they deliver value to the membership through giving them content on their website. So that's awesome. If you are publishing regular content to your website, like if you're updating events or job posts or publishing a blog, then you should have some returning visitors. If you don't have any, that's not a good sign. And if you're doing social media and promoting stuff via email and driving people back to the website, then you should have returning visitors on your site. So this data tells you how deep your relationship is with the people that you're serving and how well you're communicating with them, right? So it is very different for different types of organizations. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at it. So your takeaways from this information is if your goal is to deepen relationships with your audience and you're using your website to do it, then you need to keep an eye on your returning visitors metric. You want to see it going up. And the metric will fluctuate based on how often you do send people to your website during your marketing activities. And if your return visitors are low and you're actively driving traffic to your site, then you need to take another look at your marketing because it's not working right. Okay, so next up, how to tell what people are looking at. So that's actually nestled down here underneath behavior. So you click on behavior, site content, all pages. So once again, that's behavior, site content, all pages. All right, so the first metric that I look at is page views, right? So people are going to lots of pages in this site. Remember that we had like, what was it? Like 2,000-ish visitors or sessions, and we have 9,496 page views. So that means that there's a lot of people looking at content in this website on a regular basis. And I like to also do a gut check on this piece of information. So do the pages on the list match up with the ones that Google displayed under search whenever we searched for the organization? So let's go back here and let's type in Moon History. Okay, so this is the homepage. This is Contact Us. This is Explore, Events, and About Us. Come back over here. Homepage, Events, Contact. I don't see About. I wonder where About links to. Maybe it's like going someplace else. Looking. Nope, it's just straight up About. Okay, so it does align. My top pages are listed here, but not my top pages. So that's still pretty okay. All right, so if for some reason your most popular service pages, the ones that people are calling you about and engaging in regularly, if they don't show up on this list, then something's probably not quite right. And you need to go back and do a little bit of digging. Sometimes the problem is like super simple, like you don't have a link to the page from any other page on your site. I know it sounds silly, but it happens. It actually happens. And other times it's like actually a user interface problem that requires a bit more thinking. And I totally want to bunny trail like through this, but I'm absolutely not going to. I'm going to actually now dig into the other information that you can see on this right here. And I'm actually going to keep saying the word actually on repeat. I'm going to zoom in so that way you can see this a little bit better here. All right. So I like to look at average time on page. This lets me know about how long people are spending on the pages. This looks awesome. See how everything here is over a minute? And right here for digital collections, they're spending 3 minutes and 34 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to take you through my thought process right now. I know that digital collections it's a collection of photos that this organization has scanned in and is sharing with the public. They're historical photos. It makes sense that people are spending a long time there. It does, because there's cool stuff to look at. The homepage, people are spending quite a bit of time on the homepage. Like, there's nothing here that causes any alarm. Now, if for some reason there was a page that had a super, super low amount of time on it, that doesn't quite work, right? So then you're going to go back to that page and look at it and be like, what's going on here? Like, what's on the page? What are you asking people to do on the page? And about how much time should it take them to do those things? So I'm going to repeat those again. When you're looking at these pages and you're trying to diagnose if they're doing okay, you're going to say, what's on the page? What am I asking people to do on the page? And how much time would it take them to do that thing? And I think that everything on here looks awesome. Okay. Now, low time on page can be a reflection of a lot of different things. It could be that the name of the page doesn't accurately reflect the contents of the page, and people think they're going to get other information than what you're giving them. Or it could be that the page is poorly formatted or even broken. So go out and look at your pages and make sure they're not broken. Or that the page is just loading really, really slow and that people aren't sticking around long enough to read the content. All right, so I also like to look at entrances. This lets me know how often people enter a page from this location. And home makes perfect sense. It almost always has the highest number of entrances. Home almost always has the highest number of page views. The only time that home will not have the highest number of entrances and page views is if you're running a successful blog and you're pulling in traffic from all over, right? Because then they're going to be finding you in different ways. But a website that isn't running a super successful blog is going to look just like this, okay? Also, bounce rate. So this bounce rate is awesome. Like, pat yourselves on the back, guys, because this is great, okay? What that means is that people come in and they leave in the same page without going to any other pages. Now, 43% bounce rate is super legit. Super legit. Like, if you do a lot of blogging, if you do a lot of online ads, then your bounce rate is going to be higher up, like closer to 80%, maybe even 90. The thing is that looking at it on a page-by-page basis helps you kind of justify what's going on there and if it's okay. So it makes sense that the bounce rate is higher on news because these people send out an email newsletter. It sends them to that news article, and then people leave. That's okay. That's all right. I'm not worried about that bounce rate. But I also love that on the events page, it has a really low bounce rate. So that means that people go to events and then they click to the next page to learn more about each event. So that page is working. Okay. Exit rate is how often people leave from a specific page. Usually the contact page has a fairly high exit rate. But then also, if you are sending people to things from an email newsletter, the exit rate will also be high on those things as well, or from your social media. So just think to yourself, like, how are they getting to this page? How am I sending them to that page? Hey, wait, that just leads me into my next topic. How did people get to your site? Like, what brought visitors there? Because that will help you understand if your exit rate is okay and if your bounce rate is okay. All right, so what brought visitors to your site? This is down underneath acquisition. I'm going to close this for a second because acquisition's up here. See, acquisition. And then we can start on the overview page. The overview page gives us a really nice graphic representation of what is going on in your website. So it gives us this nice pie chart. Direct visitors are people that typed in the URL for your website. Now, right now, if you have a cookie blocker on your website, this website has a cookie blocker on it. That is why there is so much direct traffic. Back in the day, you would never see this. This is an absolute response from people having to opt in for being tracked. So referral, that means they came from another website. Social means they came from a social media feed Organic search means that they typed in search words. They came in from a listing on Google, just like this one that we just looked at over here. Boom. It means that they clicked on something like this. All right. So it gives you these nice little charts. Now, if I want to learn a little bit more about these, I like to go down into the channels report. So you go all traffic and then you click on channels. And this gives me a really nice kind of breakdown. See how it's giving me a lot of those same variables that we just saw with the pages. So you're going to look through these and do the same thing, you know. And then if you want to dig deeper, so let's say I want to know more about social, I click on social and it will tell me that Facebook is my #1 referrer, which makes sense for these folks because they've got thousands of Facebook followers. And then I can look at each one of these and say, how are people acting? You know, like our Facebook following here is behaving really, really well. Look, their bounce rate is below the normal. So that means that they go into a page and they keep clicking around, and that's great visitor behavior. They go to 2.93 pages per session, which is higher than normal. They have a higher time per session than normal. So our Facebook visitors are awesome to this website. They're engaged. Now, if they were below average, then I might ask myself, like, what's going on? How is this happening? Do I feel like I need to fix it? Maybe not. Maybe you don't know. So this report, this channels report, is going to help us understand if our marketing is working or not. That is what it's doing. And then if I want to view the other channels, I can come up here and I can click on them and look at how they're behaving. Ta-da! Okay. So last but not least, I feel like you need to take a good look at your mobile traffic. So mobile traffic is going to be underneath audience. We're going to go down to mobile and then click on overview. That's how we get to the mobile traffic report. So your mobile traffic should have a very similar pattern to your desktop traffic. There should not be a huge deviance. If there is a huge deviance, then you need to start digging in and understanding what's going on. So, for example, average time on site here is 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Average time on site here is 1 minute and 35 seconds. All right. I would feel like I need to dig in and understand what's going on there. First thing I would do is look at it and say, what does my site look like on mobile? How's it going? I would run a mobile load time report. And also I would try to look at, you can actually sort for just mobile traffic. So just like we have just Missouri website visitors up here, you can add a segment and just look at mobile visitors. And that's what I would do if my data looked like this, because I just want to understand, like, what pages are they going to? Do I know anything about their demographics? You can learn about demographics underneath here, age and gender if you have it applied. Because maybe they're just younger people that are looking to learn about an event rental venue, right? Okay, well, that's fine because that might be okay. But then I also need to make sure that that page is really working on mobile. The trick is that the general public uses their mobile devices a lot to look at websites. And I feel like people kind of just ignore their mobile sites, which is why I'm always so sensitive to it. And I want to make sure that we're not ignoring the mobile site. Like, I just read a study from Pew Research Center, and 28% of adults age 18 to 29 rely 100% on their smartphones for online access. That's a lot. So if you are serving adults 18 to 29, just realize that over like 28% of them, if they're going to your website, are doing it on a mobile device. So we want to make sure that that is working for them. So like I said, if your website traffic looks like this and it has a big deviation between mobile and desktop, then I would just dig in and look further into it. And since I have you here, I'll show you how to add a segment for that. So you can add a segment. A lot of the times there's already one converted for mobile traffic. Like I have one here. But if you needed to make a new segment, you would just click new segment. You can click on technology. You can click on mobile device, including tablet. Yep. And then that's all I'm going to look at. So 50% of the users here. And then this is mobile traffic only. And you click save. Now, look, now I have 2 filters applied here. Now I'm looking at Missouri visitors, only mobile traffic for the last year. And see, ta-da! It's giving me like this comparison. And now I can go to any other page in this setup, so any other section in Google Analytics, and I can see what people are doing. So if I wanted to know what pages people are going to, once again, I could go to behavior, and then I can go to site content, and I can go to all pages. And now I can see what are the pages that my mobile traffic goes to most often, right? And if I don't want to have Missouri visitors here, boop-a-doo. Now I just have mobile traffic. They go to home, events, the palette of natural color at the virtual gallery. Okay, so you guys see what I'm doing here, right? And I said it incorrectly earlier. So we had 2 filters applied. If I want to just have mobile traffic in Missouri, then I would add it on here. So I can add location, boop, region contains Missouri. And now I'm only going to see mobile traffic in Missouri. Yeah? Okay, so this is pretty nifty. I just showed you guys some really fun stuff about how you can use Google Analytics to learn things like, you know, who comes to your website, what they're doing on your site, what brought them there, how long they stay, where they're physically located. Remember, when you're looking at your set of data, you want to look at it in the most specific way possible. So make sure you have a date range that's wide enough that makes sense, that you have visitors to look at. And then also make sure that you look at the right area, like the right location, because that's going to make visitor behavior have a very, very wide swing. All right, so friends, I went over this stuff in our podcast. You'll be able to go out to the blog in a while, and there will be a step-by-step tutorial just like I went through here. I just wanted you to be able to see it in a video because I thought it would make more sense. And if you want to learn more about how to understand your website data in your Google Analytics report, I do have another podcast about it and blog posts. They go together. It's called Digging into Data Part 1, Reviewing Website Data. So Digging into Data Part 1, Reviewing Website Data. That will give you more information about more data that you can look at on your website. And if you're considering building a new website and you're in the process of planning it, this information is awesome for you. This is the information that you need to be able to make those decisions about what to put on your new website, what to keep, what to not keep, what to change. You'll find that all in your Google Analytics report, I swear. Also, though, if you're wondering just in general what you should have on your website, you can download one of our free books. We have 3 free ebooks. We have the Perfect Nonprofit Website Checklist. We have Blueprint for Construction Websites and Plan a Winning Website ebook, and all of those are available on the resources section of our website. And so you can absolutely download one of those and it'll let you know. Okay, so before I let you go, I just want to remind you that I'm going to be back here tomorrow and I get to interview Julia all about Instagram. And I'm really, really interested to learn more about Instagram, and I'm sure that you are too. So come back and hang out with me at noon tomorrow as I learn all about Instagram and how to build your Instagram audience from a lady who does it for a living. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.